Alright, so I was wrong in my last video, but honestly, I couldn't be happier. If Bitcoin continues at this pace, since it's now at its new all time high, we could reach my price target for the end of this bull market in within probably a month, honestly. But I don't think the bull market's going to end in the next month, so maybe I'm going to have to raise those price targets. I think you guys are going to like this one, so let's get started. At the time of recording, Bitcoin is sitting at just above $111,000. Amazing. I was expecting us to see a little bit of consolidation here just below the previous all time high from back in January. And it did look like we were putting in a little bit of a bearish divergence here on the RSI, and the MACD was in danger of crossing to the downside. But now we're seeing the 50-day moving average breaking above the 200-day moving average, and that's what they call a golden cross. A lot of times, whenever Bitcoin or any chart for that matter reaches the price targets for one of these patterns, like this downward wedge right here, which had a price target of about $103,000, not always, but usually there's going to be a little bit of consolidation, and I guess we did see that for just about a week. And now it looks like Bitcoin is doing some kind of a stair stepping formation, which in the last bull market happened right around the time we started going absolutely parabolic, and the moon was basically the limit. So now it looks like we're back on our way to the moon, and with this price target for this giant cup and handle right here being at about $123,000, if we continue at this escalated pace right here, then I wouldn't be surprised if we reach that level right around the beginning of June, maybe the 7th or the 12th or something, which is only a couple of weeks away. And since I think the bull market is going to go all the way out until probably around October, at least if the 4 year cycles are still intact and we're going to see a continuation of the length of these bull markets like we have in the past, then we're probably going to be making it above $120,000. And honestly, I don't even know where it's going to stop. Maybe we can reach $200,000 or something like that for all I know. But unless we see it starting to dump here and maybe come back down to this ascending support line, which could bring us down back to around $100,000 or maybe even like $95,000 if it's a really steep correction. And if we do start to see things go parabolic from this point forward, then like I said, I'm going to have to raise those price targets. And predicting where the top of the market is going to be is very hard. But if you go back and measure the length of the bull markets, then we should make it out until the fourth quarter of this year, maybe around October, like halfway through October. And you can just use your imagination. If we're going parabolic from this point forward, then who really knows where we're going to be going? That's why they call this price discovery. Whenever Bitcoin is in the all time high area, we have to discover these highs and lows, and there's not really any historical data to go off of to predict what kind of resistance we're going to be running into. But usually, a good rule of thumb is to try to look for like round numbers, and 120 or 125,000 are pretty good numbers to look out for maybe some kind of a consolidation. But like I said, nobody really knows, and I for sure have no idea what kind of resistance we're going to be running into, or if we're even going to see any significant resistance as we start to blast off towards the moon. It does look like the daily chart has the RSI a little bit up into the overbought territory, but as you can see, whenever things do go parabolic, it can stay up there for quite some time, especially towards the end of a bull market, with any kind of dips down below the overbought territory being a great buying opportunity. And as long as we don't dip below this ascending support line right here, then I would say the closer we get to that, the better buying opportunity it's probably going to be. And a lot of people are expecting altcoin season to start coming in now since we do have Bitcoin at an all time high. And with altcoins actually kind of lagging a little bit and not making as significant gains as Bitcoin has in the last week, it still might be a really great opportunity right now to get into some of your favorite top altcoins before they start to go parabolic as well. If you look here at the 3 month chart or the quarterly chart for Bitcoin, you can see that it's putting in a bullish engulfing candle for the quarter, which is really significant. And I don't think I've seen this happen maybe ever. So it does look like we've probably got some more significant gains ahead of us as long as this does close above wick high from the last quarter, which is just below us at about $110,000. And I don't expect this chart to start topping out until the RSI gets significantly into that overbought territory, just like it has in the past cycles. Even the quarterly chart, though, is starting to poke its head into the overbought territory, and that does probably indicate that we're nearing the end of the cycle. But October is fast approaching, and we still could have some astronomical gains ahead of us over the next few months. It seems like this move to the upside is probably being spurred off by the fact that the Senate has advanced the first of its kind cryptocurrency legislation, the Genius Act, and it's starting to make progress into actually being implemented, but it still has some ways to go. Once this does actually go through and get signed by the president, maybe we are going to still be seeing a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news event. But as I said before, as long as it doesn't break below this upward trending support line, I think that's just going to be a really great buying opportunity. And as it continues to work its way through the system until it actually does get officially adopted, I think we've still got some buy the rumor situation going on, and we're probably going to continue to the upside until that day comes. Like I said, I may have been wrong in some of my previous videos, but I couldn't be any happier, and that's because I don't sell my Bitcoin. I don't want to end up like Laszlo, and as you probably already know, 15 years ago, Laszlo paid 10,000 Bitcoin for two Papa John's pizzas. Today, 10,000 Bitcoin is worth over $1.1 billion. Imagine how many pizzas you could buy with $1.1 billion. You could probably buy all the pizzas in the world and then some, honestly. But at that time, Bitcoin was really just super risky and nobody knew that it was going to reach these levels. So, in my opinion, I don't think he's an idiot like a lot of people say he is. I think he's just a martyr. I hope he's stacked up some sats since then and hopefully he's doing well. But I know that if I had sold 10,000 Bitcoin 15 years ago for two pizzas, I would really be kicking myself in the ass. And now, since we're seeing government adoption of this technology and it's actually being legitimized by all of this positive regulation, I think we're in a similar boat right now. And if you do sell your Bitcoin, eventually you're probably going to be looking like an idiot too. I think this post by Connor Boyack pretty much summarizes exactly how I feel perfectly. It says, I don't own Bitcoin because I want to get rich quick. I own Bitcoin because I don't want to get poor slowly through the insidious theft of inflation. I basically use Bitcoin as what a savings account should be. The bank should be paying you for you to hold your money with them because they use it to make all kinds of money for themselves. But these days, with inflation and with the government printing money at the rate that they do, you're just losing money, and the banks do not pay you a high enough interest rate for you to be able to beat that inflation. So you have to find some kind of a hard asset like gold or Bitcoin or maybe even real estate, and that's where you should honestly be holding your wealth so that it can continue to grow as the government continues to print the dollar into oblivion. With some of these altcoins lagging a little bit behind Bitcoin right now, it might be a good opportunity to buy some of your favorite top shitcoins because if we're going to be entering a new altcoin season that's not just going to be driven by only shitty memes on Solana, then we could be seeing some of these coins outpacing Bitcoin in the next coming months, and that could be an opportunity to stack up more sats if you do sell near the top whenever Bitcoin starts to head lower. I think these opportunities are being more and more diminished, though, because right along with the diminishing returns that we've been seeing historically, we're seeing diminishing pullbacks, and all of these institutional investors that have been buying into Bitcoin are going to be much less likely to panic sell whenever a bear market does come. So if Bitcoin does run up to $200,000 like a lot of people are expecting, you might not even get the opportunity to buy in at a lower price than we're sitting at right now, even if you do sell your altcoins perfectly at the top and then wait till Bitcoin bottoms at the end of the bear market. Altcoins are much more risky, and it's going to be much more difficult to actually decide which one of these are going to be sticking around and making new all time highs in the next bull market. So, as they say, don't get married to your shitcoins, but they can still represent a really great opportunity to make life changing gains still in this bull market, or at least the part that we still have left ahead of us. As I said, a lot of these altcoins are lagging behind Bitcoin, and that means that they have a lot of catching up to do. And whenever Bitcoin starts going absolutely parabolic, some of these altcoins are going to be exploding to the moon and past that to maybe even Mars. But the hard part lies in actually deciding which one of these are going to be exploding. And there's a reason why they call it the crypto casino, but I still think that there's a really great chance to hit a jackpot. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. When are we going to reach that $120,000 price target for Bitcoin, and how high is it going to go at the end of this bull market? Also, what are your favorite altcoins and which ones do you think are going to hit that jackpot? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.